God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone to our November board meeting. We will start right off by going to Scott's presentation of describing the repair reserve fund.
Yes, thank you, and we do have another issue at the middle school. The condensate return system or pumps are starting to fail, or actually could fail at any point in time. The pumps are a result of when the boiler is working, all the condensation that is created, it captures that condensation and then reuses it throughout the system. So our condensate pump system was installed in 1964 and it's starting to show its age. The tank itself is leaking, and along with the return pumps. If the tanks and pumps were to fail, we wouldn't be able to have school and we'd have to shut down. So we're looking to get authorization to make these necessary repairs. And the total cost of the repairs is $57,583.52. This was a result of a piggyback bid with the town of Greece. And again, this problem was identified in the 2020 building condition survey. Every 5 years we're supposed to have a building condition survey. The purpose of the repair reserve is to pay for costs of repairs that do not reoccur annually. So this definitely falls under that, since it's been since 1964. Our current balance is $199,203.03. After the transfer of the $57,000, our balance would be $141,619.51 in the repair reserve, if the board were to authorize that later on tonight, and then also authorize the contract, which is a piggyback contract. If there's funds at the end of the year, we will replenish the repair reserve with those funds for funds that were used. And you have a little handout here, and the scope of work is attached. 3 different rooms, there's 3 different pumps that would be affected by this repair. And that concludes the public hearing, unless there's any questions from the board.
No? Any questions, anyone? No. Thank you, Scott. I need a motion to close the public hearing, please.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Marucci. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bowman. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you can call the vote, please.
Mr. Marucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman?
Yes.
Mrs. Lunday?
Yes.
Mr. Roll?
Yes.
Mrs. Benedict?
Yes. Next item, we are now in our regular meeting, and we have public to be heard, which we have none. So we will move on to other presentations. Batavia Middle School update, Mr. Nate Corley-Zelius. This is your first one. I'm timing you.
All right. I was told I have to be under 10 minutes. So.
No, you have unlimited.
Okay, thanks. I mean, Deanna tells me I'm a little bit wordy, so. I'll try to keep it,
It's
by
fine.
my wife's standard. So I wanted, John Martin and Lindsay both wanted to come tonight, and I thought it was a great opportunity for you to meet the whole team, because we've really only been together as a team for about a month now. And we've had a fantastic year so far. I can't thank them enough for all that they've done to help ease my transition into being new to the middle school. I love that we have such a variety of backgrounds in terms of where we come from and what I think we bring to the student body. For those of you who don't know, I've been at the high school for the past 22 years, and then just recently this summer became part of the middle school family as the interim principal, and I'll let them introduce themselves and kind of where they come from.
Yeah. So I'm John Martin Cannon. Most of my time is in the Rochester City School District as a 5th and 6th grade teacher. Last year I taught 5th grade in Rochester Marietta. It was fantastic, loved it, and I'm here now.
I'm Lindsay Leone. I was a school counselor here at the middle school for 6 years prior. Went up to the high school as my first assistant principal gig. Did a couple of years there and came back to the middle school.
And so for you guys to, get a little chuckle, hopefully, we've included some of our, coming from the high school to the middle school, you realize how important Halloween becomes. So I had to have 2 different Halloween costumes for this year, one from our family night, and then our rock, paper, scissors for the school day. So we had a great time.
I still have parents. I don't know if you guys could see that, but I was Jake from State Farm, and I still have parents calling me that when I talk to them. It's been great. So just some student highlights. So our 5th grade student orientation was fantastic. We had majority of families of our 5th graders came. It was adorable seeing how nervous they were then compared to now. Like, they are confident scholars at this point, so I'm very proud of that. We had our open house outdoors, which was a fan favorite. A lot of feedback from parents that they liked it. The weather was on our side, so let's hope for that again next year. The sixth grade, some of our teachers organized the field trip to Camp Salamaris. Somehow convinced me to go on that, and then the kiddos convinced me to zip line, and I'm deathly afraid of heights, so it was fun though. We had our first family night as well. That was also outside. That was Halloween themed, and again, a ton of participation. Families loved it. I gave people insurance quotes as Jake from State Farm, so it was fun. And then our warm the night, again, some great feedback from that event all around.
So as far as student engagement goes, I mean, one of our priorities, especially coming back off of COVID, is having students present all the time, right? I mean, it's your one sure way to ensure success, your one constant variable that has a direct relationship to student success. So we tried to implement a lot of different things throughout the year, bringing some different structures in place, and I think we're finally starting to hit some of our implementation curves. So some of the things we've been trying to do is involve families, especially when it comes to things surrounding student discipline. I didn't really want to get into discipline data a whole ton, but we really had a good week this week, and so I kind of wanted to mention it a little bit. So, part of our process anytime a student gets in trouble, on, we'll say a referral, is we try to use it as a teaching experience and try to make it so that we can get them back into class and being successful as quickly as we can. So one of the things we've done this year is instituted what we call re-entry meetings. So we really ask any time a student has to miss any part of any day that they have a meeting with us one-on-one. And the whole goal of the meeting is not to, to rehash, disciplining the student again, but to talk about how we're going to make it successful when they come back in. How do we make sure we're not having this conversation again? And really, really getting parent involvement at that level. And really, like John Martin and I and Lindsay were kind of joking this week. So, Monday came and there was 0 disciplinary referrals for anything in the building the entire day. And then 1 on Tuesday. And so we just it just felt like some of what we're trying to do and just the energy that we're seeing in the building, I just feel like some of what we're trying to implement is working. And I think the students are enjoying it a lot right now. But just to talk about the in class, because obviously, what they're doing in the classroom is also what's going to draw them back. So we took some pictures. I was unable to get a couple of the pictures I wanted to for you. But some of the things I observed in the building, Taste Buds of America. So students basically are assigned a city within the facts course. So not new to the middle school. It's different for me to now call home economics facts. And all that goes on in there. Each student had a state, so we got it to go in there and eat some of their food. They were able to compare things from different states within the country. In art class, what you have there is a picture of students who were given it made me think of my science teaching days, an inquiry-based project where they were presented with these materials. Okay, kids, you're making shoes today that have to do this, this, and this for art class. So here's a sample of 3 different shoes. I don't know how well you can see them. You have a pair of sandals, kind of a pair of slip-on running shoes, and then I would just call a fashionable pair. Mr. Cannon and I were invited to a cornhole tournament put on by our technology department where they had kind of leftover materials from something they did last year and made a set of cornhole boards and their own little bean bags that were made out of rice. And I really took it to Mr. Cannon that day.
Yeah.
In our head-to-head challenge. Glow with your hands. I'm sure high school will talk about this as well. But for those of you who don't know, Business Education Alliance has, over the past 2 years, despite COVID, put on a really good glow with your hands opportunities for students where you're bringing in different businesses and different job opportunities. And I got a lot of positive feedback from our kids in terms of what they saw for those days. And I really think that's a struggle, for us as educators in Genesee County, is just exposing them to things that they don't see in their everyday lives in terms of, job opportunities and just other options that they have other than what they see in their homes every day. And then what I'm finalizing within the next 2 days, my goal is to give it out over Thanksgiving break, is a student survey for a couple reasons. One of them is I'm really trying to make kids a little bit more of the face of the building. So we've gone to live announcements in the morning, and it turns out some of the students that I was targeting at the beginning are a little on the shy side when it comes to reading in front of their whole student body, even though we're in front of a camera. So we've had a couple kids with friends come in. I'm going to invite kids to pick a friend to come in, do the announcements with me in the morning. But also, after talking with the parent group this past week, just kind of get a survey out there for what they'd like to see come, winter and springtime. Hopefully, as some of our restrictions lift and some of what we've lost during COVID, what would students like to see that will bring them into school and make them part of, just part of the culture? Because the more involved we are, the more successful we are, the more we want to be there every day. So those types of things.
All right, so just to piggyback off that, one of our big initiatives this year too is parent engagement. I mean, it's huge to kind of bridge that gap between home and school. So one of the ways that we found that we can really do that is through social media. So I think a lot of you probably follow us on what we have set up, but we do have accounts with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and through ThrillShare, through the live feed that shows up on our middle school website. So we found a lot of success through this. So I put out, you probably can't read them all, but I put some comments from our family night that Mr. Cannon talked about, our Halloween themed parent night, family night, and so it's just a lot of positive comments. So we're just generating a lot of positivity through social media that we're finding. So one thing I've learned that Facebook is where the parents are at. I'm finding that each outlet kind of has like its own population. So parents are on Facebook, and that's a great way for us to kind of meet them where they're at and be able to showcase what we do every day at the middle school for them. So I post a lot of things. I post events, information, just kind of show them what we do all day. And that works out great. Instagram is where the students are at, so it's a great way for us to kind of stay connected as a school building, outside of what we do in the classroom, but, when they're at home and looking at different things, they can see, some of our updates that way. And Batavia Middle is where I find on Twitter is where a lot of our networking comes from. So sharing ideas on Twitter, and seeing the Alba principal on Twitter and just seeing other professional networks that way. So we share out on all different avenues, and then that live feed is just anyone and everyone kind of culminates there too. So I really feel like we hit a lot of the different populations that way, and just a good way to engage parents and kind of bring them into the school that way.
And last, I just wanted to talk about staff growth and what we're trying to accomplish with staff and affecting staff this year. One of the things I really wanted to push, especially out of the gates for our teachers, is an extremely positive culture where everyone wanted to be every day. With COVID, being a teacher has become harder than it's ever been, and really any job that's in the school sector right now. So, we had a lot of new teachers come in. We had over 30 new employees to start out the school year. We were all new to the building, so a lot of things out of the gates for us were culture building, people getting to know each other, supporting new teachers. So our first couple of days, we don't have pictures of it here, on top of, the normal, getting things ready to start a school year academically, we did a lot. We had a yard game party with a slip and slide and some of those types of things. And we had a really good participation. Mr. Bestine was our DJ for the day. So we had a great time. I learned a lot, about our staff. One of the things was they love to dance more than any group of people I've ever seen ever. So it's just been a great opportunity to get to know them that way. With mentoring new teachers, when you have over 15 new teachers in the building, finding good mentors for them and just pairing them up with someone that's going to help them find their strengths and become a better version of their teaching selves. We've worked a lot with that. The mentoring program has helped us a ton this year. Opening day for students. We had an SEL day for our students, within 2 days of having our SEL day for our staff. It went really well. Our SEL team has been fantastic. We put a lot of hours in during the summer and just kind of came up with activities for them for a little bit of team building, getting to know people within their own grade level, getting to know the building a little bit. I mean, you look at the 5th graders you had coming in this year, in some ways you had, 2 groups of 5th graders. The 6th graders were still kind of new to the building in terms of what they were exposed to, who they got to know, how much they were there with their peers. So we thought it was very important for them to get a full day of that before we got into, strictly academics. Our instructional focuses for teachers this year, our observations, and what our look-fors are. We're looking for targeted instruction, and we're looking to make sure that we're giving appropriate feedback to students so we're knowing whether or not we're hitting targets. That's something uniformly we're doing as administrators in all of our mini-obs this year. Teachers know that's something we want to talk about after we're in their classrooms. We think it's an important year to start developing data and start collecting data because so much was lost over the past couple of years in terms of collecting data that's going to help us work with kids and find out, appropriately where they are and where it is we need to meet them so that we can provide them with the resources that they need. So our data team meetings have been very focused this year, and I'm really proud of what our grade levels have been able to accomplish. Adult SEL, it's always changing. Right now we're in the midst of our 3rd round of SEL buddies. Everyone's assigned a buddy each month where you kind of look out for each other and you try to do something nice for each other. You speak to them and make sure that they know it's one more person that's there for them every day, but then also, we give each other little prizes and presents every year. People are bringing each other in a cup of coffee, things like that, just ways to start a conversation once a week with people you might not see otherwise during a normal school day. And then our staff Thanksgiving celebration, we had kind of a potluck on our conference day at the middle of the day. Our FACS teacher and Carrie McBride organized a fantastic dinner. Every teacher either brought in a dish or contributed money for turkey that they made right there in the home ec room. And I would say as a staff we had well over 90% participation, not just teachers but all staff in the building. Just everyone taking a chance to relax, talk to each other. And I know it's tempting to go out and get a bite to eat on the day that you don't have students in the building, but I was really proud of the fact that everyone, came together and, took the opportunity to talk, just on a social level, get to know each other a little bit better.
I'll just add 2 people stayed and hung out for a good hour.
Yeah.
It was really
The
neat
whole
to see.
time. Yeah, it was nice. And that's really all that I brought. Thank you so much. Feel free to stop in any time. I know Jen and Mrs. Bowman, you've been in, but please stop in and see us anytime. We'd love to see you. Come eat lunch with me.
I will again.
Yeah, we all sit down and eat lunch with the kids every day. So Mrs. Bowman and I got to meet, I think it was 6th graders last time, right?
Maybe that.
Maybe that.
8th graders, I
Oh, the
think,
big
because
kids.
I saw my grandson kind of slip
Oh, that's
out.
right, yeah. I usually, my grade level, it's the earliest is 5th, the latest is 8th, so my stomach doesn't usually make it to the 8th graders.
I have a
Any
question.
questions?
I
Yeah.
do. Dr. Corey has told us on, several occasions about trying to make connections with kids. Middle school, from my point of view, is the toughest grade span that we have. Lots of things going on with middle schoolers. Do you think I'm sure you believe you're doing enough to make those connections with those kids? I mean, are you encouraging your teachers to step in with students that may be struggling somewhere?
Sure, absolutely. And on top of just our trying to be visible and us trying to be there, we're always having conversations about building relationships with students. And some of that, a lot of it also comes from the assistant principal's office. If they're seeing behaviors and we need to implement it, interventions like what conversations are you having with kids? What conversations are you having with families first, just to try to meet kids where they are? And I think it's even more important for them. And it's been a focus of some of what we're doing in the SEL, the whole first day of school, in terms of getting to know the students and students getting to know each other again. It's been extremely important. So yes. I don't know if you want to,
Yeah,
I mean, we have to kind of keep it secret here, even though I know we're in public session about our newest venture in SEL. Do you want to talk about the plan? Yeah.
Oh,
Go-
yeah, so, yeah, to that point, so, in a school that I worked with before, we had a school-wide PBIS system using Class Dojo. It's that version that is a little bit more complicated, which we're not gonna do, but this one is gonna basically reward kids for being caught doing good things, right? And so like for morning supervisors that might not know some of the kids that they're seeing, this is a great way to make connections with those kiddos, right? And so I think kids are gonna love it. They loved it at the other school I was at. But also like I feel like kids need to be recognized for going out of their way to do the right thing. Like my big thing is like if I see garbage in the hallway, I want to model picking that up and not just walking by it. And I'm seeing kids doing that now, which makes me proud, right? So like let's reward them just with a little ring on this Class Dojo thing, and it makes their day. And then we as a team can talk about incentives and pizza parties and ice cream and all that fun stuff. But
And
yeah.
just to clarify, these will be incentives that we're doing outside of the classroom. So this will be in passing times, lunch times, not during classroom time. So just trying to hit those other times of the day. So you're building relationships with kids and know the names of the students that are passing by you every day. Because in a school that has over 650 students, it takes a while for name recognition. This is just one more way for the teacher and a student to introduce themselves to each other in a positive manner.
Yeah.
Great, thank you very much.
Awesome. I think you guys are doing amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The SOAR program is up and running already there too. We had a fifth grade support person come up and help to organize it. And they're really looking at the most at-risk kids, looking at the absentee data from the past couple of years. And we already had, I think, 3 things start. And on top of that, some of our newest teachers in 6th grade have been staying after just on their own to help kids get through some things that they were struggling with. So I'm really impressed with the new staff, considering there are so many in terms of how they want to help and reach the kids.
Great, great, that's great to hear. Well, thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Excited about middle school now, you know, things are going so well.
It's
It's
been a
great
really
news.
fun year so far.
Great, great. We appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you.
Who's presenting next? We need a.
You guys are, well, wait a minute. You have to hear from Mr. Wozniak.
Good luck.
All right.
You guys are welcome to stay and hear the riveting presentation from the finances.
What's the next presentation, Bob?
Financial.
Finances.
Well, you know you want to have a seat over here.
Very good, yeah.
Yeah, we already covered that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, guys.
All right, if you can turn to page 73 in your board packet.
Thanks so much. We'll see you this weekend. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Nice to meet you.
Okay,
All right, page 73 in your board packet, we're comparing September 21 to September of 2020. Revenues overall are up only $54,000 in this time period, not a lot of activity. I highlighted 4 normal areas. Non-property taxes, that's our utility tax that dates back to 1960s, and where we receive funds through utility taxes in lieu of a sales tax. And that is up compared to last year by 19% or $21,000. Over the last 18 years, it's like the 4th lowest through September, so it's encouraging that it's higher than last year, but historically it's still low. Last year we did meet our budget. We had $686,000, so we have a budget of $675,000 this year. So it's trending to meet our budget for this year. Use of money in property. This is interest rates and or rentals. You'll see a positive $6,000 or 35% above last year. We had BCSD summer school here and BCSD rented, and so that's $15,000. The interest rates are really low, so that has offset. Compared to last year, we're less in interest rates. The next line, sale of property, that's a broad category that covers other miscellaneous, like other compensation for loss. We had some reimbursements from workers' comp About $20,000 come in this year. So that's majority of that increase of $23,000. In state aid, only a small fraction increase, $7,000, and that's just really a result of during September we get credit for state aid that New York State pays directly to the teachers' retirement system. So they pay it directly, but we show the revenue. And so it is a slight increase. The rates changed from 8.86% in 2019-20 to 9.53%. It's like a $30,000 change in the monthly payment when they make payments September, October, and November. On the expense side, we're down $757,000 through September, or 12%. And it's really in two areas. One, in the area of payroll. Payroll's down almost $500,000. And this is a result of two things. One, we're charging some of our payroll to the CRESA funding. We get $2.2 million in funding this year. That's federal stimulus funds, and so most of that is payroll related. So it's not hitting the general fund; it's hitting the grant. And then the second thing is, we talked about it last time, is the accrued payroll that wasn't done during July and August, and it skewed the payroll a little higher during that. We usually reverse that at June, and so we did reverse it in September, and then next year I talked about we'll reverse it in July, and then July forward there on out. So it's going to be skewed for a couple years, but then hopefully after next year it's consistently done in July. And the instructional media up $141,000. This is timing of our BOCES expenditures for technology. A lot of times at year end we'll make payment or purchases through Edutech, and then those items come in over the summer, whether they be additional Chromebooks, copier upgrades and such. If the funding is there, we'll try to get a head start on it. So the items come in during the summer months, and then now we're making the payments. Overall, again, a decrease of $757 in the general fund, or 12%. Be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone? No questions, thank you.
Okay.
It does say here that our next presentation would be from the student ex officio report, but she's not here this evening. But we did receive information about what she was going to talk about. I don't think that I need to read it out loud. We all have a copy. So we will go on to interim superintendent update. Mr. Bishoping, please.
Sure. I just have a couple of items. One is, you might imagine this has been a difficult week, especially at the high school level, some with our 8th grade as well. Certainly hats off to Paul Kessler, his team, as well as our counselors, that they've worked with students as those students have worked through the grieving process. We've had additional counselors come from our other buildings. They've done today and may as well tomorrow to assist with the students as they are needing to meet with people and work through their grief. The student who passed away, her calling hours are Monday, and then the funeral is Tuesday, and so there will be additional needs during those times for our students and our staff as well that are suffering through this process. But again, hats off to Paul and his team for how they're working through this with the student body and with their staff. The other piece, on a lighter note, certainly, is to acknowledge our bowling team that is our students with some development, intellectual development issues, and they're working alongside our other students. And they are finished, I think their last match is tonight. Mr. Brownlee's there, but they'll get letters because of their participation in a varsity sport. And it's been wonderful for them to be able to participate alongside their fellow students.
Great.
I think we've had 6 of those students participate, along with 4 of our regular typical students.
Great, that's great.
And that's all I have.
That's it? Okay.
We have executive session topic.
Yep. Okay, we will now go on to agenda alterations, and we do have consent item add, resignations and appointments. So I need a motion to accept the agenda alterations.
So moved.
Motion made by Mrs. Lenve. Is there any second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Marucci. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you can call the vote.
Mrs. Lundey.
Yes.
Mr. Marucci.
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman.
Yes.
Mr. Roll.
Yes.
Mrs. Benedict.
Yes. Now we'll go on to consent items. I need a motion for consent, please.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Marucci. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Lenve. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you can call the vote, please.
Mr. Marucci.
Yes.
Mrs. Lundey.
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman.
Yes.
Mr. Roll.
Yes.
Mrs. Benedict.
Yes. Next item is new business. We have an amendment to the Board of Ed meeting schedule, the change in January from, I can't remember, the 20th until the 13th?
We're going to
The
go from
11th.
the 20th to the 11th.
11th.
And it'll be a Tuesday.
Yep. So I need a motion to accept this amendment to the meeting schedule, please.
So moved.
Motion made by Mrs. Bowman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Lenve. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you can call the vote, please.
Mrs. Bowman.
Yes.
Mrs. Lundey.
Yes.
Mr. Marucci.
Yes.
Mr. Roll.
Yes.
Mrs. Benedict.
Yes. Next is the resolution we're voting on that Scott gave a public presentation for this evening, authorizing and directing the transfer from the repair reserve to the general fund in the amount of $57,583.52 to pay for condensate pumps at the middle school and award a contract related thereto. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Marucci. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Lenve. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you can call the vote, please.
Mr. Marucci.
Yes.
Mrs. Lundey.
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman.
Yes.
Mr. Roll.
Yes.
Mrs. Benedict.
Yes. C is corrective action plan, external audit. I need a motion to accept the corrective action plan, please.
So moved.
Motion made by Mrs. Lenve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bowman. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you can call the vote, please.
Mrs. Lundey.
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman.
Yes.
Mr. Marucci.
Yes.
Mr. Roll.
Yes.
Mrs. Benedict.
Yes. Next item is other reports. We have none. We will move on. I need a motion for executive session, please.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Marucci. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Lenve. Is there any discussion?
We don't anticipate any business after the executive session.
Right. You can call the vote.
Mr. Marucci.
Yes.
Mrs. Lundey.
Yes.
Mrs. Bowman.
Yes.
Mr. Roll.
Yes.
Mrs. Benedict.
Yes. We are now in executive session. Please.